In 1967, Celtic became the first British side to lift a European trophy, beating Internazionale 2-1 in Lisbon. It was a simple game of attack v defence. Internazionale, with Eleno Herrera at the helm, used his famous catenaccio system, which brought the Nerazzurri so much success in the 1960s, lifting the European Cup in both 1964 and 1965. They came up against Jogstein's Celtic, an attacking 4-2-4. Despite Inter taking an early lead from the penalty spot, the game was dominated by Celtic. The green and white hoops had a total of 41 attempts on goal, with Inter's goalkeeper Sarti's heroics keeping Celtic out until the 63rd minute, when the two Celtic fullbacks combined, with Jim Craig finding the marauding left-back Tommy Gemmell at the edge of the area to fire home. And with 7 minutes on the clock remaining, the game was deservedly won when a Bobby Murdoch effort was steered into the net by Stevie Chalmers. Celtic's side will forever be remembered as the Lisbon Lions, with all players born within 30 minutes of Celtic Park. Jogstein's Celtic won a total of 25 major honours in his 13 years, with his win percentage of over 70% in his 718 games in charge. And in today's video, we put together his Lisbon Lions 4-2-4 into Football Manager. Alright everybody, welcome to another tactic video. It is, as I said, Jogstein's 4-2-4 that he had with his famous Lisbon Lions in the 60s and I think the early part of the 1970s. Really enjoyed putting this together. Watched a few documentaries. I've watched one in the past about Shankly, Busby and Jogstein, but I've watched a couple of them just based on Lisbon Line. Got to see a few highlights. Done a lot of reading. Very enjoyable. I will put a link down to a few things down on YouTube that I've watched. I will put them down if you're interested in following the story. But it is all about the tactic today and how I've put it together. Now, the tactic is available right now for Patreons to go and download it and put it straight into their game. And if you would like all the previous tactics and the up-and-coming tactics downloads, please check out the Patreon link down in the description. It does support me and the channel. And thank you to everyone who is on the screen right now for your support on the channel. All right, guys, let's get into it. Celtics 4-2-4. Okay, so here we are, 4-2-4. I haven't played a 4-2-4 for a long time, and yeah, we're Celtic. We've dominated. We won the league in a little test that I did, a simulated test. My one suggestion would be, when you're playing in Europe, we have played one game so far in Europe. We have drawn 3-3 at home against Napoli. We were kind of a little bit lucky with that, getting 2 late goals. So my suggestion would be that when you do play it, you maybe knock this down to balanced or positive at the most. Okay, so goalkeepers. Now, generally, early on in the 60s, goalkeepers were generally, obviously, a goalkeeper, but I have put him on a sweeper keeper on defend. There is a couple of clips of the goalkeeper coming out of his area a fair bit, in particular in the final, when they were playing against that really defensive low block, the Herrera Catenaccio, the video that I did last week on the channel, so make sure you go check that out. He did also do a little bit of a back heel as well, when the Inter Milan striker Mazzola went to close him down. So we've put sweeper keeper on defend. It will just help us distributing from the back, playing balls out to the channels, which we often had, and obviously clearing up when we play with that high line. Okay, the fullbacks, very attacking, very aggressive. Obviously, we've got an inverted winger in front, so right back, Jim Craig, we just got him as a wing back on support, no player instructions. And then the left back, we've gone for Tommy Gemmell, an absolute legend at Celtic. We've gone for him as an inverted wing back on attack. Now, it does go round, but because we're playing with a wing in front, and also the amount of opportunities that Gemmell got in these areas here. So that's what we're trying to recreate with that. Not so much helping out in here. He will help out. He does go around as well. I've seen many a time. Don't think an inverted wing back is just going to go central. That's not the case. If there's an opportunity to go around, he will go around. But we're wanting to get him at the edge of the area. In particular, the equaliser against Inter Milan in the final. He was right at the edge of the area to fire home. So that's why we've put him in as inverted wing back on attack. Player instruction, shoot more often. The two centre-halves of Clark and Captain McNeil, we've just got no nonsense centre-halves, no player instructions, play it simple, be aggressive, get the ball back and give it to people that can play. And then into the middle of midfield, we've got Bertie Maloud and Bobby. Is it Bobby Murdoch? Yeah, Bobby Murdoch. Two fantastic technical players. I think Maloud was kind of changed from a left winger to a central midfielder. And Bobby Murdoch as well, very good range of passing. So we've got them as a box-to-box and a deep line playmaker on defend, just to give us a little bit of balance in there. The defensive DLP, just to sit in there and play. The idea is that they would break up play, give the ball to these, in particular these wide players. two outstanding central midfielders. Did get on to sort of like the edge of the area, shots on goal. It was Murdoch's effort late on in the second half when he was in and around the area that was deflected in by Stevie Chalmers to win the European Cup. So I think that's kind of a good balance. I think they could both do each role. It's kind of hard. I've watched so many clips, black and white clips over the last week of this, and they often do similar things. So I've just done it as a DLP defend, box-to-box midfielder, and then you can get a well-rounded sort of like central midfielders in there. And then onto the wingers, arguably probably one of the greatest players of all time, Jimmy Johnston. I knew his name, but hadn't watched any of the clips up until last week, and boy, what a player. When people always ask me what kind of player you would like Ralphie to be, my little boy, when he gets older, I would love him to play like this boy played. He has an element of George Best where he gets the ball. He was generally played on the right-hand side, but was left-footed and will get the ball and just dribble. Immaculate close control, despite the condition of the pitches and the tackles, and he would jink onto his left foot and score a goal. He did score a famous goal in 1967 to win the title. The second to last game of the season, they had to get a point against Rangers to get them on the way to that famous domestic and league treble. They did that. He scored a late goal, cutting in on his left foot and banging it in. So yeah, absolute sensation. And I've decided to put him as an inverted winger on support with take more risks, shoot more often, and roam from position. I'm hoping that he gets into these areas. I was going to put him on attack, but because Celtic kind of played, and the off teams often played, when they played with the front two, they often played with two out-and-out nines, it was just going to leave a little bit of space in here. And I thought if we can get him into these areas here, that's when he's going to be able to cut in and pop some shots off. Obviously, then you've got Craig going round the outside as well, allowing Johnston to drift inside. On the left-hand side, they often played a few players out there. Some of the strikers kind of rotated. I think in the final, it was Bobby Lennox, who often played as well as a striker. I'm sure Hughes, even though he was a bit of a kind of a target man, played as a striker. He often went out to the left. I'm not sure how many times Alud went out there as well, because obviously during his earlier days, he could play as a wider player. So we've gone with just a standard winger on support. You could argue, if you wanted to put shoot more often on as well, because if you've got Hughes and Lennox, strikers out there playing, attacking players playing out on the left-hand side who are normally used to playing as strikers, you may expect them to shoot more. And then the front two is a difficult one. They rotated a lot. Lennox played up there. They had Hughes, and in the final they went with Stevie Chalmers and, is it Willie Wallace? Yeah, Willie Wallace were the two strikers. Now, they both dropped in, they both held up play. Obviously, you're playing up front in that era, you had to be physically strong, you had to work extremely hard, you had to work channels. They were kind of a little bit of everything. Obviously, I didn't want to put two players in exactly the same role, so I've just gone with a target forward on attack because I don't really want him drifting into these areas. I want them to lead the line, and then we've gone with an advanced forward to match that. No player instructions for those two. You could maybe put that as a pressing forward. I think those two roles are quite flexible. You could kind of change them to what you wanted, as long as it strikes you as a proper number 9. So we're looking at maybe advanced forward, poacher, pressing forward, target forward, complete forward. Obviously not really a deep line forward so much, or maybe obviously a false 9, trequartista obviously. So I would maybe look at those really classic number 9 roles. Okay, that is the team. Okay, into the mentality. We've got attacking mentality. I did go positive. I think if you're doing this and you're a big side, you're a strong side, we're playing teams that are definitely not as strong as us. We've gone attacking to really force home that 4-2-4. We've got players at the top of the pitch. We want to move that ball quickly. We want to take risks. We want to see crosses into the box as well. We want to see everything done with an element of risk. So that's why we've got it on attacking. By all means, you could put it on positive. I've just enjoyed having that on attacking. As I said, Champions League games, the simulation didn't go well. I think there was a 7-3 defeat, a 5-0 defeat away at Liverpool. We drew Napoli, Liverpool and Real Madrid in the Champions League in the group stages. Bit of a stinker. So yeah, I'd maybe look at changing that mentality potentially when you're playing, if you're maybe not one of the top sides in Europe. Domestically, obviously, Celtic dominate. So we've had that home and away, even against Rangers. Attacking width, I've been swapping between fairly wide and wide. I've kept it generally at fairly wide, and then if we've just struggled a little bit to break teams down, if I've noticed teams playing with a low block, we've opened that out so much more, and then we've encouraged the balls out wide. Obviously, we've got focus left and right, so we're just trying to stretch that back 4, back 5, whatever it is, whatever we're coming up against. So just tweak that in between games. You could even maybe do narrow when you're playing against one of those bigger European sides. You could maybe go fairly narrow, just stay a little bit more compact. Passing directness standard, we have got passing to space on. Often they would clip balls in channels for the wingers and the strikers to chase. I didn't want to go more direct because they still kept the ball really well, dominated possession. So I didn't want to just get it and hoof it, get it and hoof it. I just wanted that standard passing directness just for us to enable us, to keep the ball a little bit better. Tempo higher. Go watch the game back from 1967. Yes, it's slower than what it is today, but in terms of tempo and how they wanted to get the ball forward, get the ball out to the wide players as quickly as possible. And obviously, a little bit of a counter press as well when they lost the ball. I put that on higher tempo. Play for set pieces. Tremendous players. The two centre-halves were brilliant. Gemmell, I think, was a decent size. Two big strikers, often a big striker. Even Hughes out on that left-hand side as a winger. So, yeah, definitely play for set pieces. I haven't put run at defence on. However, you have got the two wide players that will do that naturally. In transition, pretty simple. We've gone for counter press and counter. Kicks from the goalkeeper would often go into the channels. And then obviously a counter press. We've got players high up the pitch. They did work hard to get the ball back. Goalkeeper and distribution, I've left it blank because they sometimes did roll it back out. Remember, there was that back pass rule where the goalkeeper would pick it up. So with that, I've just left that completely blank and allowed the goalkeeper to make the decision. Out of possession, I've not gone for the generic high press, high standard defensive line just because during this era there wasn't a lot of it. Celtic were obviously one of the most attacking sides, but they did generally fall into a mid-block. And I do think with that as well, it does allow the away side, the opponent, just to come forward a little bit. And if we're looking to clip balls into channels, we're also looking for our two strikers to get on the end of things. I thought I would just leave it as a mid-block. And then all I've done is trap outside. So when the ball goes over to one side, we shuffle, we press. We maybe get fullbacks round, wingers involved and central strikers coming across, stopping that ball coming back across. Get stuck in, obviously. It's the 1960s. There was a few tackles kicking about. Okay, that is the Lisbon Lions. Let me know your thoughts. I think it's a classic football manager. If you wanted to go another way, what you could do is put the defensive line up. I said I wanted to keep it as close to what I thought the Lisbon Lions would play and something that I may be looking forward to using at some point during FM23. So there is the tactic. Tactics links down in the description via the Patreon. So go check it out if you want to go and support the channel. Let me know how it works for you, Patreons, and anyone else. There you go. I've gone through all the player instructions, all the team instructions for you guys to copy. Okay, we have played a few games. We have had an 100% start, which you would expect in the league, including a 3-0 win over Rangers. There's one goal in particular I would like to show you, which is this one. We're going to show you a few little clips. So what we're trying to recreate with that inverted wing back on attack was getting in and around the edge of the area, and the goal that Tommy Gemmell scored in the final in 1967. And I think the only way you can kind of recreate that and getting into them positions regularly is that inverted wing back on attack. Something that I don't think I've ever used in the game, an inverted wing back on attack, and I'm absolutely loving it. In particular, if you've got a winger out wide, allowing him to come inside on there, maybe on that underlap. And as I said, he still will get round and cause problems with the overlap. Okay, so no nonsense centre half. This is like a standard big man, little man, long ball forward. Well, not a long ball. It was more of like a 30-yard pass. And then a second goal against Hearts. There's the left winger getting wide. We get the ball back. No nonsense centre half stepping in. Simple passes. Wing back, obviously. Inverted winger roaming from position, obviously, then coming inside, allowing look at the space for the right back to get into. We've got Ralston on the right back, not the best. Poor pass, but then Jimmy Johnson makes the most of it, cuts it across, and there is maybe Hughes or Willie Wallace to finish off. And then the third goal, watch Greg Taylor. Now, Greg Taylor is the Tommy Gemmell role, takes the throw in, look at the position that he then gets up. He's made that run straight away. If we just watch from the throw, watch his run, straight into that little area, bosh, an absolute wallop. The final goal, obviously the Tommy Gemmell goal in the cup, came from the opposite side with the right back laying it across, but he gets into a really good attacking area. And then we'll just watch the goals. The 3-0 against Rangers. Once again, a long ball from the no-nonsense centre-halves. Finding Jimmy Johnson. What a touch. That was like a Jimmy Johnson touch. And then a pullback. You will, if you watch clips of Jimmy Johnson on YouTube, you will see plenty of efforts, him getting to the byline and cutting the ball out back. There is this target forward, getting into the hole, dropping off a little bit, as I said. They did take it in turns to drop off up there with the front two. Off to Jimmy Johnson. Superb pass. Striker working the channels, and then a pullback. Murdoch, box-to-box midfielder, getting into the penalty area. We've seen loads of them. Not so much goals, but attempts of goal, crossbars. Hit attempts over the bar, but that box-to-box midfielder arriving. And then here as well, you've got the left, the inverted wing-back on attack. Anything that's pulled back at the edge of the area, he's there again to punish. And then this one, I think, was a counter-attack. It was. Through on goal. I do like a front two in FM23. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, but I'm really enjoying watching quick, direct attacking play with two players up there. I think if you can get, obviously in FM, for the Celtic squad, Giamakis is a pretty decent target forward. So something that I may look at using in the Eagles save going forward. I think we need a little bit of a refresh with my Eagles save that I've got at the moment on the channel. Go check it out. So something that we may look at using in the future. I'm also thinking when the Eagles save finishes that we do a save with Celtic and we try and recreate a Lisbon Lions style squad where we only sign players who are born 30 minutes from Celtic Park. If that's something you would like to see, make sure you like today's video. Let me know down in the comments if you've enjoyed it. Had to do it, and a 4-2-4 works well in Football Manager. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Please drop a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your thoughts. Future tactics videos. We've got the WM next week and Mauricio Pochettino. After that, I'm open to ideas for videos to do, so by all means, put them down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. See you later.